Hi Luxury Home Show, I'm Rachel, owner of Rachael Lauren Interiors, and welcome to our project Willow Tree. Let me show you around. So welcome to the entrance hall. This was such a special space to design and I just love how it worked out in the end. We originally had the staircase facing the opposite way and it meant that you actually walked in to the underside of a staircase, which wasn't great. So after a couple of talks with the developers, we decided to flip the staircase around in this direction. And what that meant was that we could then have this amazing double height space, which worked out so well. We did come up with a couple of options for this feature mirror wall, and this was the one that we chose because it just felt so delicate and gorgeous to look at, but it's also very functional because you've got obviously a massive mirror so everybody can see themselves, but I also like the fact that it's got the gold flecks in it, which make such a difference and make it feel very antiqued and just a really subtle finish rather than heavy antique mirror. Due to the sheer scale of this space, everything had to be custom made, and it really was very intensively designed and well thought out. The console table fits directly in the middle and this all had to be custom made. But the beauty of doing that meant that we could have all of the finishes interlining throughout the space. So everything could connect from the grey stained oak to the antique brass, which really makes the space feel very unified and very harmonious, which is lovely. We kept a lot of the big features neutral because we really wanted the architectural details like the staircase to stand out, and this spindle design was one of the most detailed staircases that we've ever designed. So we really took the time to detail up every element of this staircase because we wanted it to be a real one-of-a-kind piece that nobody could sort of replicate anywhere else. And so we took key architectural details like the way that the staircase flows and this panel that floats up the stairs and combined it with these spindles, which were all custom made, to just create something totally unique. And then all of the stairs were clad in a really nice stone tile, which has worked so well just to create something that feels very grounded and very natural. Then it's warmed up by the stair runner that we've chosen. So the carpet is a chevron that we selected because it is quite forgiving, but it's also very hard wearing. And we've finished it with this leather border, which just gives it that extra element of detail. And then the stair rods just connect everything with all of the other antique brass elements throughout the house. So you might notice the dining room behind me, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on, but for now let's head over into the kitchen day living area. So this is the open plan kitchen day living area, and it's actually split into 3 zones. So we've got casual dining here, then we've got the media unit with the gorgeous lounge space, and this is the kitchen. This detail on the island is one of my absolute favourite things, and it's because, again, it's totally unique to this property and it's something that hasn't been done before. It's actually a porcelain worktop that has a through vein technology, which means that although it's imitation marble, it means it can be curved into any shape, and that's why we decided to use it on this curved island. All of these little pieces, they're all individual hand applied bronze solid pieces, and that gives that really nice fluted detail, which then follows through under here. Over here we've got the splashback with the hob area, and as I mentioned, everything in this kitchen is made from porcelain, and the benefits of that are that it's just so much more durable than a real marble and is easy to clean, because I think when anyone's cooking you really don't want to be worried about anything splashing up onto the worktops above. And then to contrast with the light cabinets and the light worktops, we've gone for this specialist liquid metal finish on the key cupboards above. And the extractor fan's actually hidden inside of here, which is really lovely that you don't have to see that. And it continues onto the island cupboards and the cupboards here below. Everything else is on push catch to open, and this was intentional because we didn't want to overcomplicate the space with lots of handles. So everything just opens really easily, and we've got so much storage in this kitchen. As I mentioned, we opted for an antique brass pretty much throughout the property to keep the flow continuous, and the same goes for the kitchen. So we applied the antique bronze pieces to the island, and then we used that same finish on things like the hot taps and on the lights as well, which really gives the space a really harmonious feel, and it just means that everything flows so beautifully. In a lot of kitchen spaces and dressing rooms, we always want to include open shelving, and that can just be a lovely feature to include when there's items that you actually want on display, as opposed to closed off and hidden away. Speaking of which, let me show you something over here. So this is something that I wish I had in my house. It's a laundry chute from the master dressing room above, and this is here because we're right next to the laundry room. We really wanted to continue the same elements from the kitchen, so we've got the same worktops and the same splashback, and again feature open shelving, which just allows for some decorative elements to be added in. And over here we've actually got the dog shower, which is just the most amazing feature to have in a utility room. For anyone who's got messy pets that have just come back from a walk, they can go straight in the shower. But also it could be used just for general washing if anyone doesn't have a dog. So moving into the kitchen day living area, we've got this incredible media unit which has so many amazing details to it that I just can't wait to go through. So initially we had to take into consideration the air conditioning unit, which needed to be hidden into the top, and so we actually took the liquid metal finish from the kitchen and brought this in to create almost like a header across the top of the unit and then again at the bottom, and that really kind of grounds the unit and makes it connect to the kitchen space. The other specialist details that we used on this were the Venetian plaster, which is done in a really soft pearlescent finish, and that's just to centralise the TV in the middle. And then we've created this geometric shelving design, which is something that we're so proud of because not only is it functional, but it is beautiful. And we added a vinyl wallpaper that's textured to the back of the shelves just to kind of give it that warmth and extra level of detail that it deserved. We also added these antique brass inlays to all of the shelf dividers, and it then again just ties in with the rest of the property so well. And then my absolute favourite finish on this piece of cabinetry is the radial veneer that goes across the bottom of the base cupboards. We've actually used this same finish on a couple of different areas throughout the property, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So we had this sofa custom made to fit this space because it really needed to be quite chunky but also have enough room to actually walk around and go out into the garden. And we decided to inlay the carpet into the floor because that meant that we could do something that felt a little bit more design-led and a bit more finished rather than just a rug sitting on top of the tiles. And I think that the antique brass metal inlay finishes it off really well. Interiors are my main passion, obviously, but I couldn't ignore this feature. And I just think that it's so amazing that we've managed to get the whole glazing in just 4 panels. The company is called Sightline who created these, and they've done a brilliant job of making sure that we got a huge expanse of glass without many joins. Now, I have to be honest, I have had nothing to do with the design of the outside of this property, but Tom has insisted that I talk you guys through this. We've got the outdoor kitchen over here, which is fully set up for barbecues in summer and just outdoor entertaining. And then we've got the spa-fold jacuzzi over here, which actually has resistant jets so that you can do some exercise as well. Leaving the kitchen day living area, back into the entrance hall. I'm not sure if you remember that finish from earlier on, and into the powder room. This is a really dark and moody space, and we formed this vanity out of a porcelain tile just for the durability but also the look of a solid marble slab, and then the wall lights just flank the mirror perfectly. So we're back in the entrance hall now, and we're going to go through into the dining room. We decided that because it's such an expansive open plan space, we wanted to divide it with the use of these screens. So we used antique bronze metal, and we've basically added this inlay of fluted glass, which kind of is semi-translucent, but it gives that divide between the two spaces. And this wine wall is one of my absolute favourite pieces of joinery in the whole property, and that's because it does transfer over into the kitchen day living. Originally it was just a solid wall here, so we decided to create a knock through and then add this in, because not only is it great for entertaining, but it looks beautiful and it does fit 216 bottles. So if you have a party, it's the perfect piece to have. In the centre of the space, framed by the inlays on the floor, we've got this 12-seater dining table in grey oak, and we wanted to add an extra level of detail so that it wasn't just a plain wooden table. So we created this geometric inlay on the table. And the reason for that was we've actually done it on the floor in the master en suite, which you'll see a little bit later. And it just kind of made a connection between this space and upstairs that I thought would work really well. And the joiner's done a great job of bringing that to life. Moving over to this side of the room, we created this custom sideboard, and that's actually completely fitted into the wall, so it made the most of the space. And the artwork above is actually completely bespoke as well. Below are custom made base cupboards with a gorgeous sand dune effect wallpaper, and then we've got a really nice fluted grey oak detail that just finishes it off perfectly. So now we're going into the formal lounge, which is one of the most luxurious parts of the property. We really wanted to create an opulence in here that felt more elevated than the rest of the house. So we've used really high-end finishes, including this stunning, really chunky Calacatta gold marble fireplace. Either side we've got these sculptures which are fitted to the walls, and they're to sort of look like cascading leaves falling down from a tree, again with a nod to the willow tree outside. And I like that these are asymmetrical, so they're not the same. They actually mimic each other, but in a very natural way. And we commissioned these sideboards, which are made again with the radial veneer from earlier, and they have the inlaid handle detail which is recessed into the cupboards below. To create a softness in the room, we went for an inlaid carpet detail, and we had this custom made to suit the flow of the natural elements throughout the room. So as you can see, it's like a droplet effect, and it is very natural. And we've actually framed it with another grey stained oak on the floor, and that's finished off with a really nice antique bronze detail again. As this room was designed for conversation and it's a very social room, we wanted to create a flow that continued throughout the space, and that is all centred around the coffee table in the middle, which is perfectly centred on the chandelier above, and then we have the ceiling detail to highlight that as well. That combined with the curved sofa just worked so well. And finally, we've actually created this panelling detail which hides a secret door, and what's behind here is really special. So welcome to the cinema room. This is a totally self-contained area that is hidden away from the rest of the property, and it's a real chill out place where people can come and relax and feel very cosy. And we actually created this custom bar area for refreshments and drinks. The porcelain tile actually came in one piece, and then it was mited to create the thickness of this top here. It was also cut into sections for the shelves above, and I think the tilers did a brilliant job on this, because I think anyone who was looking at it would think that it was a solid slab of marble. And then through this secret door, we've actually got a self-contained apartment, which is amazing for guests or teenage children. And through that door, we've actually got a leisure facility which is designed to be a gym, and there's also a steam room in there as well. So that's us finished with the ground floor, but we've still got so much more to show you. So let's head upstairs to see the bedrooms. So coming up to the first floor, we actually changed the position of the second staircase up to the second floor, and it used to be where Tom is stood there, and it just wasn't working as well functionally, so we've decided to put it here. But then we were left with this nook underneath and we needed to create a reason for that. So we came up with this storage cabinetry below, and we used the same mirror as is used on the main feature mirror in the entrance hall to tie the two spaces together. So whether it's for children to come and sit and relax or pets to sleep, it's just a great space for all of the family. On this floor there are 3 bedrooms, and we're going to take you into the most impressive one first. So originally this space was very enclosed and there was lots of internal walls that we had to change to basically completely open up the space and create a really luxurious open plan master suite. It's all centred around this island with this gorgeous pendant above and matching wall lights that take us into the master bedroom, and then we've got the master ensuite over here. Let's start here with the island. This is completely centred around the pendant above, and it actually has bespoke jewellery holders here for all of your costume jewellery and watches, and a lot of drawer space as well. You'll notice to the top of the island we've added a leather which just softens the wood, because we felt that the whole thing in wood would have been a bit harsh, and this is definitely a bit more bedroomy. The doors were something that we spent a lot of time detailing again, and they have an inlaid Philip Jeffries wallpaper to them, which is actually a fabric effect geometric pattern, and I think that just adds that extra level of depth and detail to the door fronts. Every dressing room needs a mirror, and this one was designed to fit this space that we had free. And so we kept it really simple, but we wrapped the grey oak and the antique brass around the frame to make it tie in with the rest of the space. Now let me take you to the bedroom. Coming into the master bedroom, this is one of the most beautiful and well detailed rooms of the house. The bed is actually an emperor bed, but as you can see you could fit something much bigger in here. There's certainly no lack of space. And one of the main key features to this is the side panels of the headboard. So we actually had these commissioned by Stuart Fox Studio, and we had an idea of what we wanted to create, but it was basically that soft cloudy effect that felt very unique and different. So he came up with this gorgeous finish, which is actually hand applied pearlescent powders, and then there's a layer of glass on top which finishes it and seals it so that it is still practical. We designed a layered headboard so that you've got the big one behind with the 3 panels, and then there's another separate headboard in front just to give it that extra level of luxury. The cushions were all custom made. We had a lot of fun picking these out, and again it's that detail that I think gives it the edge. The recessed curtain tracks that we've added in over here, and this is to give it a bit more functionality and a bit more versatility to the room. So firstly you've got the voile, which is just a light share on one track, and then we've got the blackout curtain with a decorative trim, and this just gives you the option to have a little bit of privacy or to have full blackout in the room. And one of the best things that we ever do in interior projects is add the recessed track with the coving in front, because you get a really seamless look where you don't actually see any of the top of the curtains, and that's actually illuminated from behind as well, so it gives a glow which is so beautiful, and it makes you feel like the curtains just go on forever. Now, no principal suite would be complete without your own private balcony. Okay, back inside, let's go into the principal ensuite. So one of the main features of this space is the flooring detail that we designed, and it did take the tilers from Pro Tilers a long time to make this. And it is very detailed, but it's basically the same geometric pattern as inlaid into the dining table downstairs. And in the very centre, we've got 2 large format book match slabs which are perfectly centred on the bath. And the whole, concept behind this ensuite really was the symmetry of the space. So we wanted to create a really impactful window scene with the freestanding bath. We have a double vanity situation with a his and hers vanity on either side of the room. The cabinetry was all custom made in grey oak, and it just gives so much storage to the person who's going to live in this house. And again, the mirrors to the top, we've got the fluted glass mirror that transfers over from the screens in the dining room, and these gorgeous visual comfort lights as well. With the vanity, we didn't want to just keep it simple with a straight vanity, so we did this detail where it pops out in the middle, and I think that just creates a really dramatic effect because it allows the sink to be bigger and levels of storage that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Personally, when you have the space in a principal ensuite, I think it's always better to enclose the toilet and shower separately. And in here we have the shower, which has a heated bench seat as well. We're heading into the first of the guest bedrooms. So this room we wanted to keep the same luxury feel as the master suite, but we wanted to keep it very light and open and airy. So we went for some really nice bespoke cushions on the bed, and we kept the textures but in a very neutral colour tone. And we've got this really lovely dressing table area with the antique brass mirror above, and this leads out onto a private balcony area. And then another view to the garden. Not quite as big as the principal suite, but it still has its own dressing area in here, and we designed these doors to go with the headboard and the rest of the suite. They all have bespoke hanging and LED lights inside, and the bone handles really make the design. This leads on to the ensuite. Last bedroom on the first floor. So in this guest suite we wanted to create a bit more of a dark and moody feel, so we went for much darker fabrics to create a contrast against the other guest bedroom. I absolutely love this Schumacher fabric that we chose just for one cushion in the middle, and I feel like that really draws your eye into that centre. These lamps are also really beautiful in a cracked blue glass from Heathfield. So these wardrobe doors were custom made, and they're all wrapped in an ostrich leather, which is faux leather, and they have these really nice dark antique brass handles to them, and then the metal finish that wraps around each door individually. And then again through here we've got another ensuite. On the second floor of this property there is a further 2 bedrooms. Currently aren't furnished, but they're really versatile. And then there's also a study space to the centre. Okay, so that concludes the tour today. If you've liked what you've seen, please look below for a little bit more information about Rachael Lauren Interiors. Thank you so much, Luxury Home Show. I hope I see you soon.
Hi Luxury Home Show, I'm Amy Stoddart. This is our latest project, Bow House. Come on in. So now we're inside Bow House. This is the hallway. This is a new build property built from the ground up, but it also has Georgian influence.